Ashley, what are you like now? Your moods, your emotions compared to before? Compared to Ashley 1.0.
Ashley 1.0. I'm more aware of. Actually, I used to swing through like some depression and really negative thoughts about myself. And that I would say in the last year or so has not. I don't know if you've noticed, but that hasn't really showed up.
I've noticed.
He's noticed.
I've noticed a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, because your mood used to be all over the place.
All
you had
over the
some
place.
highs, and then she would just crash and be low, and it was like.
And honestly, in my family, I used to tell them this all the time. And my aunt and my grandmother are bipolar. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have that pattern in my field. I don't think I'm bipolar, but I have that pattern's definitely in my field. And I swing from one end to the other. And I used to swing from one end to the other a lot.
So you were vacillating because he was vacillating all over the place.
Yeah. And I felt like I had no control over it whatsoever. I remember feeling like, okay, I'm in a funk and I'm going to feel depressed for a few days, and then something's going to happen or something's going to shift and I'm going to feel on a high. And I would just wait until the high came. And now I'm much more in control of my emotions and how I feel and the state I'm in. Like, now when I notice negative thoughts about me or anyone else, I can like just sit and ask myself like what's going on. Or he always wants me to do the consciousness exercises, but I'm way more in control, like able to shift my state with my will now than I ever was before. I felt controlled by my emotions.
You were controlled by.
I
she
was
controlled by her
controlled.
emotions.
Hijacked.
She was all over the place.
All over the place.
And now that's not the case.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a firm believer that if the man shows up and is masculine, the woman's healing is spontaneous because we all have wounds. But I feel that that women can spontaneously heal and work through their stuff if they have the container, if they have the space that the masculine provides.
The safety.
Ashlynn's proof of it. She, unbelievably different. I mean, Ashley's amazing. She doesn't have any of that stuff anymore. It's like completely different.
Yeah. It's like,
And it was progressive. She just got better and better and better and better. And not only is her baseline amazing, but the extremes is just completely smoothed out. And it's been for over a year now.
Yeah, over a year.
So I'm a firm believer that when the man shows up, just create the space for the woman, and the woman will heal and work through her stuff.
Do you want to look at the question? How much influence does a man have in the liberation of a woman into her feminine?
I think one of the biggest gifts that men have to bring to the world is their capacity to create the space that women need to be liberated. We all have wounds. Men, we have our wounds. Women, they have theirs, whether it's from, a trauma that happened or just the way that we were raised. We all have our stuff. But it seems to me to be really straightforward that the more the man can show up in his masculine and love her unconditionally and make her feel loved unconditionally, no matter what she does, and be totally present and take nothing personally or literally, and just be present with her and just love her, that her defense drops, her tension drops, and they just shed that layer and become more and more clear and more of who they are. And I think that not only is that a huge gift that men bring to the table, but it's a huge responsibility.
So what do you mean by liberation, though? Liberating her from what?
I would say liberating her from the parts of her that need to heal. And it's not that we're doing it. I think women spontaneously heal. They're wired to heal and recover and work through their stuff, whatever that may be, but they need the environment for it. So it's like putting a seed in the ground. As a grower, I'm an organic grower. I love to grow things organically. You put a seed in the ground and you water it, and it's rich soil, and the kale plant sprouts and it produces big, beautiful leaves. And I've had people say, "Oh, Dominick, you're growing kale. Look how big it is. Look how beautiful it is. Wow, this is a really healthy plant." And I said, "Yeah, I'm growing kale." But when I thought about it, I said, that's what an arrogant thing to say, because I don't know how big the leaves are supposed to get, or what shape they're supposed to get, or how dark green they're supposed to get, or how, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. All I know how to do is create the environment that the seed needs, and with the rich soil, and water it, and some
Time.
sunlight, and the plant does what the plant's designed to do. I think that women are a lot like that seed. They have everything they need inside them to heal. They just need the environment. And I think that men are wired, whether we're aware of it or not, to create that environment, that container for the women so that they feel safe. And when they feel safe, they just transform, and they just are so aware and so much more emotionally intelligent that they just seem to be able to work through their stuff on their own.
So they feel safe to be unsure and uncertain, and the man doesn't get perturbed by her uncertainty. Kind of like if she goes from being hot and the next day she's cold, and instead of you having a negative reaction, like she was all over me yesterday, and today she's like, I'm a second-class citizen. She doesn't even want to touch me.
Oh man, I
Instead of
used
not
to
being
get
bothered.
so like tweaked about that. I'm like, what the heck? You know, we went out, we had a good time. Why the fuck can't she just like be calm? Why can't we just do what we did yesterday? And before I would get emotionally charged about that. Well, now I see it not as a negative. I see it as a compliment, because now she's letting down her guard. Now she's expressing. She feels safe enough to express her insecurities. She feels safe to experience whatever it is that she needs to experience to work through that. So now, having gone through that, I now realize that my job is just to be cool. My job is to create the space. My job is to be solid, grounded, present, and to show love no matter how she shows up. And women are designed to test us, and they will. But that's just an opportunity to prove to her that I am here. I'm solid. I got it. I got it, baby. And it's amazing to see how Ashley's become happier, healthier, more peaceful. She enjoys life more, and she's beautiful. And what a privilege that is for a man to be able to do that.
That kale analogy is good parenting advice too, I think.
The same man I need to be for my wife is the same man I need to be for my kids.
The gardener.
The gardener.
Just create
Dominick,
the space.
the gardener.
And let them
Dominick the gardener.
grow and flourish the way they know how to and choose to. Because that's the thing with like kids. That's one thing my parents did really well with, is just allowing me and my brothers to choose what we wanted to do and be who we wanted to be, and supported us no matter what it was at that time, and helped us get there. So I think that's a big thing too, because I see a lot of, and I've even like friends growing up, their parents wanted them to be a certain thing or go to school for a certain thing, or if they chose one route, their parents were trying to talk them into another route. And my parents were always really supportive of everything I wanted to do. And I know I jumped ships back to another question, but it just popped up.
Well, what's interesting is you have a unique situation with your parents, which I would love for you to explain that, because that would be surprising to people.
Yeah, I have two moms, and yeah, I'm a triplet. So they took the 3 healthiest eggs out of one mama, out of my biological mama, and put them in the other mom, and then inseminated those eggs, and my other mom carried us. So I think that's always really cool, because we're connected to both parents, and both moms are like really both our moms. We're biologically related to one, and then our nervous system was, wired up to the other mom that was carrying us. And yeah, so I have a sperm donor as a father, and I have 2 mamas. Do you know
the father?
I do, actually.
Was he a friend of the family?
No, he was. They actually, they had, when you go to a sperm bank, you can flip through options. I think they saw a baby picture, and they saw like what he did as a career, some interests of his. They had some health background on him, and they ended up both picking him twice separately. So they're both like, so it's definitely our sperm donor. But I did find out who he was recently, like a few months ago. And I got to see his picture, and he had written some things, and yeah, we actually have a Facebook group with like 20 different half siblings of ours, like with the same sperm donor.
He did a lot of chicken choking to make that happen.
He what?
He did a lot of chicken choking to make that happen.
Okay, yeah.
He had a side business.
Yeah, so there's like 20 of us. We're all in the Facebook group. And yeah.
So you have one of your moms is masculine and the other one's more feminine.
True.
Because I coach a lot of lesbians in what I do, and most of the time the female lesbians that I coach are the masculine ones. And where they struggle is because obviously they like women, they're attracted to women, but they tend to be the more masculine ones. And obviously, in order to have sexual polarity, because I see the same thing when I coach gay guys, is that there's always a masculine one and there's always a feminine one. And when they act too similar, just like when a heterosexual guy acts too girly, the woman that gets turned off feels platonic towards him instead of passionate. And like with the lesbian women that I work with, is I just teach them to act more like a heterosexual man, masculine man, and be the leader. And it's just, I mean, the sexual polarity, it instantly comes back. They could have not had sex for 6 months, a year, on the verge of breaking up, going their separate ways. And she just starts basically acting like a man and being the leader and showing up. And her woman feels safe. And the sex, the passion, it comes right back. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Bet you guys didn't know that.